This is the start of a pretty ambitious build project. Actually, I'm quite a ways into it, so I thought I'd do a little better job of documenting the build because people have asked more about that in the past, and I've kind of gotten lazy at times where I haven't really shown the build process. I've just explained it, and I'll still probably end up doing that sometimes, but this is pretty elaborate, so I thought I'd go into it a little more. So here, what we're going to do is I'm going to make a really cool, powerful, like 300 plus FPS gel ball blaster with a halo kind of theme. Okay, so this thing's going to be very big. I've already printed the handguard, which as you can see is quite large. That took quite a bit of time. Now, for those of you who are 3D printers, I have an Anchor Make M5, and that's a fast printer, right? It's a newer, faster printer. And I believe each piece here was around 15 hours. So that gives you an idea of how long that takes. And the crazy stock that I made is going to take a day and a half, which is, I've never printed anything that took over a day on my Anchor Make because it's so fast. But it's huge, it's elaborate. So all these pieces, I would say I radically remixed pieces that I could find online. So I wasn't able to find any type of airsoft models or anything, which those are usually easier for me to modify. Instead, you'd find a bunch of cosplay, a bunch of people who had different, where you could just print a toy that doesn't do anything, right? Or was solid even, and those weren't any good. So I finally found one that had a ton of pieces in there, and it actually had, an inner void where the barrel would go. Because again, I can't model, but I can certainly stretch, cut, manipulate, build, and that's how I do my remixing and my modeling, I guess you'd call it. So that's what I started with. So this is going to be completely unique, one of a kind. There's not going to be anything else even, like it. It's going to resemble that theme, and that's where I got my inspiration from. But that's how I do it. And so same with like the stock. This stock is going to be a crazy mix of a bunch of different pieces and parts that I put together to kind of have that same theme throughout it. It's going to be a stock that comes and drops down and then has a little arm that comes back underneath the grip. And then I'm probably going to do like a knuckle duster type thing up to the bottom of this magwell. So magwell's the only piece, this magwell flare is the only piece I have that I'm reusing. And then I had a grip that I thought I already kind of had a futuristic vibe to it. So that's going to be the foregrip on there. So battery is actually going to be in essentially a battery box that's on top of the stock. It's still going to be in the stock. You still aren't going to see it because it's probably going to thread through the buffer tube to get into it, and there'll be a little door on it. But that works better because then I can have that stock semi-permanently mounted on there. So what I have left to do here is still quite a bit, right? There's going to be some plates, right, that come down and cover this area. So there's going to be plates right here, and then there's going to be long plates that come back through here. I'm going to leave the shot selection and obviously the trigger and everything open on that side. Because this has a spring-loaded shot selector and you have semi-automatic, I just can't think of a good way that'll look nice to extend that out. So that's why we'll just leave that area open. Up top here, there's going to be a lot of decorative kind of type pieces, this type of stuff, right? Except that goes in line with the theme that comes up across. This will have one long piece, one long plate that connects it, and there'll probably be a rail up here as well as again, some of these possible decorative pieces. There's some pieces that go here, and there's pieces that are going to go on the side of each barrel. So this has a 400 millimeter, that really long metal inner barrel going on, and this is a Gen 8.5 gearbox. So that's what we have there. This side is pretty much the same, right? Now I'm going to leave a window here, right? Because for a couple reasons. I don't really want to hack up the receiver. I mean, sure, I could cut this bump off. But instead what the plan is to leave a window open, right? So there'll be a panel that comes down through here and covers this, kind of blends this all in. And I'm going to make sure that I do it in such a way that you can still take it apart. I'm going to use a lot of heat inserts. Those are kind of like rivet nuts. and then that'll allow me to go ahead and put it together using little tiny bolts, and then you could remove those plates if you needed to. So there'll be a plate there that'll leave this window open. Would have been really cool if this had blowback, but instead of I'm going to probably fill that with this a piece like this, because I still think that'll look really cool. All right, and so then probably leave this open and have a plate that starts, kind of right here and goes over the top of forward assist button, because the stock is really going to be incorporated all the way into this as well. So it'll obviously slide on the buffer tube, but then I'm going to do something that kind of, reaches down and probably even bolts again with heat inserts to the top of that. So pretty crazy build, many, many hours of printing, way more than I've ever done before. And then you can see a crazy, ridiculous size. So after the stock is on here, the stock is probably going to go back to here. So it's going to be quite big. And for the optic, I'm not sure what I'm going to do, but I'm definitely going to build out some type of sleeve type cover type thing for the optics, so that even makes the optic kind of tied into the theme. For colors, I'll probably go with some, dark grays, maybe a little bit of pops of that whitish gray. Gonna leave the grip black for sure. It's just better not to paint them when I can avoid it. Other than that, I'll probably tie in a little bit of black here and there, just because it ends up, being easier and it'll still look good. I did make a little kind of extension for the mag release, so probably use that. That's what I was going to try to do for the shot selector too, but again, I've gone through several ideas and just wasn't happy with them. Gonna leave, and so the other reason why I wanted to leave this open back here is I still wanted to leave the priming feature, right? And I didn't want to reroute. I thought about putting a button in, but I'm already doing so much work. I've done it before where I've put a button so that the forward assist, you push that, and then that's actually your primer. But instead I'm going to leave this, and then you can see I've kind of built this out so that it looks cool, and so that this actually is wide enough as well. Because if I left it at the standard width, I've got this bumped out too far already, since we're about 50 millimeters wide with the handguard, and that's going to be incorporated all the way throughout the stock. So lots of computer work on this one, which typically I get annoyed with, but it's been pretty fun. There's been several, things where I get them all designed and then I decide, I don't like how it looks. Luckily, I haven't gotten to the point where I've done that and actually printed anything yet. All right. So this has been a super long introduction, longer than I thought. I guess I had more to say than I thought. So the next video, hopefully, will be a point where I've got everything printed completely and I can kind of mock it up for you. I'll have all the panels, I'll have the stock, and then I can start painting. And I got to remember to just be really patient when I paint. After I'm done, really let everything sit. So that's some good advice for those of you who paint your blasters, paint 3D parts. Even if you're using, acrylics instead of enamel spray paints, let them sit for at least 24 hours before you touch them. It's probably even better to give them longer than that, especially if you're going to end up, putting pieces together. Gluing, that kind of thing. You got to be really careful. I use a lot of super glue, but if you're gluing after the fact, which I will be on this one, because some of these different decorative pieces that are going to go here, I'm going to use them strategically to cover seams and just in spots where I think it looks aesthetically pleasing. But yeah, you never want to get the glue anywhere where it's going to show, because then it discolors the paint, and it's it could really, make a big project if you then try to go back and fix it. All right. So comments, questions, post them below. Of course, subscribe, share my channel with your friends, and make sure you watch the next few videos about this crazy Halo gel ball blaster. And like I said, I'll probably put an M95 in there so that we're easily at about 300 FPS consistently, maybe even a little higher with that extra long barrel. And it'll be exciting to have something super unique like this. And like I said, I'm going to try to just, even be more patient and take extra time and see how close to perfect I can get it without getting too frustrated. So thanks again, and stay tuned for the next one.